The Big WECK presents Buffalo on the Rise, sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process. Welcome to the television show devoted to local business, Buffalo on the Rise, with your host, Joe Chili. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in Western New York that's putting our area on the cusp of greatness. Each week, Buffalo on the Rise features local business leaders and decision makers who are shaping our future. If it's about local business, we'll talk about it right here, right now, during Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chili. On this edition of the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise, I'll introduce you to some interesting people from hometown businesses with interesting stories to tell. Like Doctor Ronald Gefaller from Softwave Buffalo, with alternative therapies to help you feel your best. Then Denise Ligammare from Western Division Federal Credit Union explains why their great rates could save you money. And attorney Vince Lo Tempio asks, do you have a great idea you want to promote and also protect? He'll tell us how. All on this edition of the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise. Stay with us. Hi, I'm Joe Chili, morning 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, the Big WECK. Joining us on the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise today is Dr. Ronald Gefaller from Softwave Buffalo. Welcome back. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you too, Joe.
Give us an idea, kind of a refresher, if you will. What are we talking about when we talk about Softwave therapy?
Softwave therapy is something that's relatively new here. It's been FDA approved for about 7 years. It's been over in Europe for over 30 years now, and it's actually using technology that's adapted from working with kidney stones. So it's been around for about 50 years of technology. You're basically using sound waves to go ahead and create physical changes inside the body, okay? The sound waves are going to go ahead and reduce down inflammation. They're going to reduce down pain because that's part of inflammation. It's going to increase blood flow tremendously, about 200 to 400%. And you stimulate stem cell activities. And everybody knows about stem cells nowadays. All the professional athletes use them to go ahead and inject into joints to go ahead and get the joints to go ahead and start healing up better and faster. They're using it with cancer therapies. What we're doing is using the sound waves to go ahead and stimulate the activity of the stem cells that are already there to promote a healing response, so you can actually make old injuries start healing up again, and you can take fresh injuries and make them heal up even faster again. They use it for post-surgical wound care to get the wounds to heal up a lot better and faster, using it for diabetic ulcers and using it for neuropathies, even diabetic and chemotherapy-based neuropathies. You can go ahead and make your body make these physical changes that it just isn't doing or doesn't want to do. So it's a pretty amazing technology.
What kind of amazes me, and maybe the question that I don't understand, when you think about like a soft wave therapy or a sound wave with kidney stones, it helps break those up, right?
Right.
So how does this not damage whatever you're focusing it at?
I get that question a lot.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Well, with the kidney stones, you're using much more powerful beams, and you're crossing the beams across each other, so you're creating a shock wave effect inside the stone to go make it crumble. What they were noticing, the way this whole thing came about is that they were noticing when they were treating kidney stones, because the kidneys are up underneath the ribs, and as they were noticing that the bones in the ribs and bones in the spine would become much more dense. We were laying in more bony material into those bones during the course of the kidney stone treatment. So somebody had the bright idea over in Europe that, well, we have people that have fractures that don't want to heal up. After I broke my leg, I had a non-union of my fibular bone. It just healed up with scar tissue instead of healing up with bone. And with me, they did surgery, they put a plate in there, it was a big mess. What they found out that they can do is use that shockwave therapy again to go ahead and force those bones to start healing up better again. So you can actually take a bone that didn't want to heal and make it heal. And we all know that when you break bones and you damage things like that, a lot of times you do damage to the skin, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, everything else around there, right? Okay, because they have an impact. Mm-hmm. So they were noticing all those impact injuries, in the skin, the muscles, tendons, and bones, all those were healing up a lot better and faster. And so somebody had the idea, well, we do skin grafts over here. Let's go ahead and work on the skin grafts. And so they started using it, because at that point they were taking skin off your thigh and putting it someplace else, and you had this big hole in your thigh that would take months to heal up, and so they started working on the skin to go ahead and get that to heal up in a matter of weeks. So we were able to go ahead and promote that healing of the bone and all those soft tissues a lot faster. Then it progressed into wound care and into orthopedics, is what I do.
So let's talk about, the viewer right now, practically, in a practical sense. What kind of things can you help them with?
Anything, it's pretty amazing. I've been using it for all sorts of different things. So I have, if you think anything that has an itis at the end, like arthritis or bursitis or tendinitis, things like that, it can help out with. Those are all inflammatory conditions. It can help anything with an inflammatory condition. Any kind of pain type of condition, normally we can go ahead and get in there and create a good effect on that. People with chronic back pain, muscle pain, scar tissue in the muscles. We do a lot of work with people that have post-surgical pain around knees and hips. They have large scars that are binding up that area and binding up the musculature. We can get in there and soften up the scar tissue and reduce down the pain and irritation, actually restore more normal function again to those joints and make them a lot more comfortable, a lot more functional. We deal with neuropathy patients that have chronic foot numbness and pain. You can tremendously increase the circulation in those areas. You can actually make your body produce more blood vessels, because part of neuropathy is a circulation condition. And this is actually patented for nerve cell regeneration. Okay, it's FDA approved for that you can actually get the nerve cells to help get better again. I had chronic carpal tunnel syndrome. Actually, I had surgery done and came back 5 years later. And I happened to have the machine and started working on my wrists again to try to go ahead and get the pain out of my wrists and hands, get strength back again. Worked out great. Didn't have to have the second surgery done. I've got all the feeling back in my hand.
All right, now we've got about 2 minutes left.
Sure.
Let me ask you a couple of things that I think would be questions with individuals. Number one is it safe? And the other question is, how many treatments would be needed?
This is the safest thing that you can go ahead and do. You actually create absolutely no damage to your body. The FDA says that the side effects are negligible, okay, which means that you get maybe a little bit of redness temporarily, maybe a little achiness temporarily, okay? You're creating no physical damage. There's no needles going in. There's no downtime associated with this. It's probably the simplest thing you can go ahead and do. And the nice thing about it too, it has very deep penetration. You can get after some of those types of injuries that you can't affect from anything else except getting in there surgically. A lot of my patients, they don't want to have the knee surgeries, they don't want to have the knee replacements, hip replacements, things like that. You can go ahead and actually penetrate deep enough to go ahead and affect those deeper tissues and make some good physical changes on that. I'm sorry.
How many treatments?
Well, the treatments vary obviously per condition and per the age of the patient and their ability to heal. The average for most orthopedic conditions is about 8 visits, okay? You normally try to get that down more so. We use a lot more time and more intensive therapy than the average person will go ahead and do in the area to, I'm not patient. I want things to get better faster. And so we try to go ahead and do that for our patients there too.
All right, Dr. Gefaller, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Softwave Therapy Buffalo by calling 716-667-6800 or go to softwavebuffalo.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Softwave Therapy Buffalo. And join me weekday mornings on the Big WECK. Hi, I'm Joe Chile, mornings from 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, the Big WECK. Joining us today on the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise is Denise Ligammare from Western Division Federal Credit Union. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Good to see you again. Is purple your favorite color?
Yeah, it kind of is.
Is it really?
Lately, yeah.
Looks very nice on you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think I've seen you wear it before. That was my question. Now, my second question, which is even more important, is how is Western Division going to save me money?
Yeah, it's the color green. Now we're going to talk
the
about
color
the
green.
color green.
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay.
You know what, with everything going on in the economy right now, and people talking about inflation and jobs and tariffs and things like that, I think now more importantly than ever, everybody's just looking to make more money or make their money go further at the best interest rates and whatever they can get for it. So just wanted to talk a little bit about Western Division, how we can help do that. Not so much talk about products and services today, but just give you how our philosophy of our cooperative and how we work for the members that we serve as our financial institution. So, of course, we usually talk about loans, home of the great, right? Not only for loans, but for savings also. But when you're out there looking for loans, I think one of the things that you should know about Western Division is that we offer the same rate for new, used, refinanced, or lease buyout. And of course, lease buyout goes with the vehicles, but new, used, or refinanced, to have the same rate out there in the economy right now is really something that sets us different and apart from dealers and other financial institutions, because you'll have a different rate if you're buying, like, say, a new car, or a different rate if you're buying a used RV or things like that. We offer the same rate, and we've been consistent with that for well over 20 years. So whenever we advertise a rate, you know that that's the rate that you're going to get going forward. So when it comes to refinancing any type of loans, if you have a higher interest rate loan out there, we will refinance on anything. And the majority of our refinances, same rate, but also no closing costs and no refinance fees.
It's a big deal.
So not only can you help you save yourself on the rate, you can also not have to worry about the fees, which a lot of other people charge along the way. So then if we're talking about green and going on to the savings side, savings is one of those things where you're looking to just save, or money markets, or CDs, or CD specials. That's a big thing that has been going on for the past couple of years. A lot of financial institutions, we do CD specials to try and lock in that money and make you more money. The thing with our savings is basically a lot of them, no minimum balance. There's never a monthly service charge. We're paying well above what the industry is paying on your regular savings and money markets, and our CDs are very competitive. And every the first of every month, we have 2 CD specials that we just started a couple months ago that we throw out there every single month. So it gives you a lot of different options to save money and make more money.
So how often does, like, an interest rate change with you guys?
Interest rates in all financial institutions, some change them daily, some change them weekly, some change them by zip code, where their branch is at, location, believe it or not.
Really?
We set our rates at the first of every month, and we guarantee those rates until the last day of the month.
So if you go in, say for instance, somebody's going to buy a car.
Right.
They go to you first because they know, you advertise, hey, come see us, right? They go in. So do you think that when you go in and talk to a car dealer and you have a loan, that you're going to work out with, with Western Division, do you think that they treat you differently?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we tell a lot of our members where it's vehicle shopping, whether it's recreational, your boats, your motorcycles, your RVs, even home equities. We're like, give us a call. We could do it right over the phone if you don't want to come into the branch. We get you pre-approved, and that way you know exactly the amount that we can give and the interest rate and what your payments are going to be. So it kind of gives you that power, especially when you go into the dealerships, when saying, well, they'll come back and say, hey, we can give you a great rate of 8%. And you're like, well, I can get 3.99 at my credit union. That benefits you, the consumer, because they're either going to come back and go talk to their FI guy and then come back and see what other rate they can offer. They're either going to match it or they're going to beat it. And either way, it puts you in a better position because you, the consumer, will have the best rate that you have.
What happens if they say, we'll eat your last 5 lease payments?
Well, then we're going to start taking a look at the value of the car, and we're going to start doing some numbers, and we're going to let you know, because we follow up with all of our members when they know they're out shopping.
When that happens?
We're like, how'd you do? And the extended warranties and things like that, we let them know if they're getting the best deal. We'll look up the value of the car for them. We'll look up all of that to make sure that they're getting the best deal along with the best rate.
Now, new and used?
New and used.
Really? That's very good. What about, do you do anything with checking accounts?
Yes, we do. In fact, a lot of people think that we're not we always talk about savings and loans, but we are a full service financial institution. So we have your loans, we have your savings, your mortgages. We even do investments, and of course the checking account. And our checking account has been the same for years, and it's the free checking account. It's no minimum balance, it's no monthly service charge, no per check fee, no additional fees or anything like that with the checking. So it's just there. We have over 850 no surcharging ATMs in Western New York. We have the mobile app. We have the remote deposit. So you can bring your checking account over to Western Division and know that you have that simple, free checking account that you don't have to jump through all the hoops for. Something that we just started new about 2 months ago is we added what's called the Checking Advantage. It's not a separate checking account. The Checking Advantage is 3 basic things. If you have a direct deposit, if you use your debit card, and if you have e-statements, any loan that you have with us, with the exception of home equities and mortgages, we're going to give you an extra 0.25% every single month as a payback right onto all of those loans.
All right, we only less than a minute left, but I wanted to ask about the patronage dividend.
Another way that we're going to pay you more money. So we are the only financial institution in Western New York or credit union that pays a patronage dividend. When the credit union does well as a cooperative, we pay back to everybody that either saves or borrows with us. So we do that every Thanksgiving, and everybody can receive extra money on their savings that they paid, and extra interest we will give you back.
Denise, as always, you have the answer to all my questions. Thank you so much. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Western Division Federal Credit Union at 716-500-LOAN or go to westerndivision.org. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Western Division Federal Credit Union, and you can join me weekday mornings on the Big WECK. Hi, I'm Joe Chili, mornings from 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, the Big WECK. Joining us on the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise today is attorney Vince Lo Tempio, and we're talking trademark and copyright, patent attorney, really, for all intents and purposes, right? Patent attorney.
Exactly, yeah.
Is that the way that we would normally describe you? That's the best descriptor?
Yeah, intellectual property in general, it constitutes trademark, patent, and copyright, but I'm a registered patent attorney. You know, you need to have a specialized license to practice as a patent attorney, and there's very few of us in the Western New York area, and that's one of the reasons I became a patent attorney, is because it was my own little niche. But yeah, you know, I do a lot of trademark and copyright as well.
It did take a long time to study for something like that. It says especially after you become an attorney, you have to take one more step?
Well, yeah, it's just another bar exam. And,
another bar exam.
In order to qualify for the bar exam, you have to have the equivalent of a bachelor's degree in some sort of science. So you need, in most attorneys, you know, they go to school, they have political science background, they don't have a science background in like chemistry or biology, and I have a background in chemistry.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And now, we wanted to talk today, and you were mentioning this to me, about registering a brand with Amazon. So describe this for me. Why is this important, and how do people go about doing that?
Yeah, so first thing, you have to have a registered or an applied for trademark to be part of this program. And you know, it's something that's relatively new, and what happens is there's so many people, I think there's 400 million subscribers to Amazon, and so many people that are actually selling their products through Amazon. And what happens is trademarks and what your brand is very competitive, and people steal your ideas and steal your brand and use your brand. And what happens is they'll make a complaint. Oh, Joe Chili's put a new product up there and he's using my brand. And Amazon doesn't know who's really the owner of it, you know, but you have two parties making this claim. So what they've done now is they have this free program through Amazon that you could register your trademark with them, and this way there's no arguments anymore. You can prove that it's your trademark, and they're not going to let anybody else put your brand on a product and sell it.
So will they actually check if somebody tries to go on Amazon and they're going to use the same name used or something very similar? Do they check, or do they wait until they get a complaint from you to check?
Yeah, so they'll know if you're part of the brand registry, they'll know instantly, and they won't let them even get on. But yeah, if it's not part of the brand registry, they just do it, and then they wait for the complaint. And that's how it's gone, you know, predominantly in the past. That's the way it's been handled. But yeah, this is something interesting. And the reason I thought of talking about this, I was on the call yesterday with one of my clients, CityMade, and Gary Stazuski, and he was telling me, you know, he works for all the local big companies because they put these baskets out and they sell them all over the country.
Like Buffalo made baskets,
yeah,
Buffalo made products.
Yeah,
things like
City
that.
Made products, Buffalo, Rochester, and I think he's trying to expand to do it for different cities throughout the country, and I think that's why we registered City Made instead of Buffalo City Made. But he does it in Buffalo, and he sells these baskets, and I sent you some artwork to send up for his webpage. But But he says he was working with Ted's Hot Dogs, and they didn't even know that you can do this, and it's a free thing. And he was, telling them, this is something you should probably do. And I thought, that would be a good subject to talk to you about, and let the listeners learn that this is out there. A lot of people don't even realize it. Even big corporate clients don't even realize that that's available.
And people say, I've had people tell me all the time, boy, I can't get Weber's mustard here or something like that, because it's something that is unique to Buffalo, and they can't get it outside there, and they really miss it. You know what I mean? So I don't know, maybe Salem's Hot Dogs, I have no idea, but different products like that. Interesting that you mentioned City Made, because I looked at some of the baskets, and I've seen this, like Best of Buffalo gift box and things like that. And we've done this for when we've had people come into town, like Jim Brickman or something like this, and we've had someone come into town and we're sponsoring their show or something like that, and we give them a Buffalo made basket, because what more, speaks Buffalo. So that's an interesting thing that you mentioned something like that. Now, is it that difficult for someone to get a trademark to begin with, or a patent, or?
Well, yeah, patent is a little bit more difficult than getting a trademark, but the trademark, and I was having this conversation with another client today that came up with this new idea that I'm not going to share on TV, but I said to him, it's not like a domain name where you can just sit on it. You have to be actively using it on a product in commerce. Now, you can file a trademark with the intent to use it in the future. I got this great name for the new iPhone that I'm going to come out with, but I'm in the process right now of manufacturing, marketing, distributing the product, and we still haven't even got all that together yet. But I want everybody in the country to know that this is my idea and I came up with it. So what happens is you file your trademark application, in that you have an intent to use it in the future. You're not using it yet, but you have an intent to use it. And basically that's a constructive notice to put everybody on notice that I came up with the idea first. So anybody that wants to use that trademark would have to prove that they were using it prior to the date that we filed our intent to use application. So what will happen is the trademark office will review your trademark application. It'll probably take them 6 or 7 months to do it. And then they'll say, okay, now show us how you're using it on your product. And if you're still not using that on a product by then, you can ask for an extensions of time. But if you're actually using the product now and you're selling it, well, then you can fly for an application for actual use and you can get it. But again, as far as being hard, it has to be new. Nobody's using it already. And there's all these different factors where they define whether you can get it or not. But you can have, Ford gumballs and Ford motor cars. You can have Big Mac hamburgers and Big Mac trucks, and nobody's confused about the two. So even if the names are the same, it's still possible. Dove candy and Dove soap. It's possible that Domino's pizza and Domino's sugar, that you can still use it if consumers wouldn't be confused by the two names. So there's a lot of factors as to whether it's easy or hard. Some are easier than others.
All right, Vince, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Vincent Lo Tempio by calling 716-216-5000 or go to lotempiolaw.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Lo Tempio Law, and you can start your mornings with me 7 to 9 a.m. on the Big WECK.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Big WECK Presents Buffalo on the Rise. For information on this and other shows, go to our website, bigweck.com, and find out how you can participate on the program if you're a hometown business. I'm Joe Chili. Thanks for watching and listening to the Big WECK, Buffalo's oldie station.
The Big WECK Presents Buffalo on the Rise was sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process.